Hello, this is Michael McCarthy, and in this video we're going to take a look at Zookeeper and creating some materials with it. You can see that I have multiple different layers in this scene, and on this layer I have a teapot. I'm just going to drag this teapot into the Shader Fun tab here that I made and drag out a new material for it. So from here I can choose from the main materials and any of the standard ones: ink and paint, shellac, standard. I can also choose mental ray materials, arch and design, car paint, all of these materials, V-ray materials, etc. I'm just going to choose a standard material, and you can see that update in the view. I'm going to drag out the shader for that, but before I do that I'm just going to switch it quickly to a multi-layer shader. Drag out that multi-layer shader. Now I can adjust some things like the specular level on the first level, as well as its glossiness. We'll make it a little more glossy and give it some anisotropy. So something like that, and we'll keep it white. The next one I think I want to set to a little bit of an orange type of glow, and we'll bring this up and maybe make the glossiness a little bit tighter there. So I can set any of that stuff, and then I think I'll just set the diffuse color to something like a nice deep blue. So you can see that update in the scene here, and I'm going to set this to an active shade so that we can get those real-time updates effectively. And go into maps, and we'll add in some maps. So I'm just going to go into the reflection and drag out a map here. Now, just like the materials, I can go in and choose any of these mental ray maps, any of the 3D maps that I might want to choose, etc. And I also have this search list. So I know the name of the map I want, which is going to be a fall off map, and I'm just going to type that in. You can see as I type, it brings up whatever maps might be in that name that I'm typing. So I'm going to type in fall off. So here you can see the update in the active shade as well as on the material here. And I'm just going to drop in to map 2 a ray trace so that we get those ray traced reflections, and you'll see that update there. If I want to, of course, I can go into the fall off parameters and adjust things like the direction. If I want to set this to Fresnel, I can set that up. Or if I want to set it to a different camera angle, those things will all be there. And I can change things like those colors, etc. For right now, I'm going to be pretty happy with that. I'm just going to name these so that when I'm looking for maps later, I have some sort of idea of what these are. And we'll go ahead and add in another map. The next map I'll add is just a simple bump map. So let's drag this up, and we'll add in a cellular map. And we can see that update over to the right. I'm going to go into parameters and just switch this to chips. And we'll start to kind of get that crinkled metal feel. And from that, I think I might just turn the bump down a little bit. So I'm just going to drag that down to maybe 12 from there. Now, while I like these chips, I might want to add in a little bit of noise to that. I can add that into either the cellular color or the division color, but I can also composite it using a composite map. I'm going to insert that composite map just by clicking on this wire and typing in composite texture. When I press enter, that composite texture will be introduced in between the cellular map and the bump map output, and you can see that it's set into layer 2. So I can drag out layer 1 and we'll get a noise map, and then layer 2 will just composite as multiply. Now I may want this noise texture to be a little finer, and I'm just going to go and adjust that here. As I start to get deeper and deeper flows, I may want to have kind of a floating preview window. So to do that, I can simply adjust this window to be whatever size I want, and I could do a little capture of it for a preview. Now we do that just by hitting Control and Shift and dragging a little marquee around whatever we want to preview. So we can get a little preview of this guy, and we'll pop it over here. So now when I'm panning and zooming in anywhere in the view, I can always see the preview that I have over here. So I'm going to go into parameters here and just drop that noise size down, and we'll see that we get smaller noise, and we could adjust the threshold and other things like that in there, but I think that's fine for right now. So now what I'll do is just add in a little bit of a diffuse color. I'm just going to select all these 3 maps and I'm going to minimize them. We have a multi-select feature so that whatever you do to multiple selected nodes will kind of happen across the board, which makes keeping your view really pretty tidy and clean. So for this, I'm actually just going to add a color correct map, and we'll choose something like a nice deep blue. And I'm going to insert a fall off map in here too. So I'm just going to click on that and type in fall off. And that's going to insert the fall off map and put that into map channel 1. So now we get that white kind of on the outside. And actually, instead of dragging out a new map, what I'll do is just shift drag to copy this map. And you can see that copies that very easily, and I'm going to pipe that in. And we'll have map 1 still be that blue, and we'll make map 2 maybe something like a nice deep orange or red. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. If I want to switch these maps, I can easily do that by just dragging that one into the bottom slot and this one into the top slot. And then I'll have the blue on the outside and the red on the inside. Gives us this interesting orange type of glow going on there. So I'm going to take all these maps and just kind of minimize them so that we have them there. We have our fall off map set up. And the next thing I'm going to do is just kind of expand on what we're doing there with copy, and I'm going to instance a couple nodes and copy a couple nodes. So I'm going to select these two and I'm going to copy them, and without having this one selected, it's going to instance that node, so it's going to pipe it in. And this makes for a really easy workflow when you want to copy things, but maybe you want whole copies, or maybe you want some of it to be copied and some to be instanced or something else. And you can just do that by selecting the stuff that you want to copy. So you can see that I've copied these two, but it has instanced this one, which goes between. So I'm going to just pipe this into our self-illumination, and you'll see the update there. But while that's going to stay blue, I think I want to change this to blue as well. So we'll add a little bit of this cerulean type of color. And that's actually for the diffuse map. I think I want to go back, and we'll keep that orange, but we want to add that cerulean in for the self-illumination. And that's the purpose of having copy. So some of it is copied, some of it is just instance nodes. So you can see that that adjusts this map quite a bit, but we don't really have a lot happening with that self-illumination. That's of course because the self-illumination is set to black and white and not color. So I'm just going to go into the shader and say use self-illumination color, and you see we get a drastic change there, and I'm just going to bring that self-illumination color down. So now we kind of have this blend between the two. That's how you can, set up, some pretty quick maps and adjust them very easily using multiple nodes and piping them into each other, using the copies and previews and things like that. Now, one other thing I want to look at is our ability to adjust multiple things at one time. So we have these two maps here that are together, and you can see that they're two fall-off maps. They have all these parameters which are the same. And what we could do is, if we have two maps of any kind, whether they're fall-off or noise maps or anything like that, we can adjust them by selecting both of them and adjusting all of them. So if I change this to Fresnel, you'll see that one will change to Fresnel, and we'll get the update down there. If I want it to be shadow light, then we can get something like that. That might give us an interesting result. And we can have 2 maps selected, or we can have 20 maps selected. And this helps a lot when you have a lot of different noise maps or things like that, where you might want to adjust the size on 2 or 3 of them, and that size will adjust across the board. Okay, so that was pretty fun playing with this material. Let's just hop out of this active shade view, go into our layers. I'm just going to hide this sphere layer and unhide our lava layer. And you can see that we have our lava object, which we can select by double clicking here. That's in the scene, and we have a material already set up for it. So if I just control click on this, it'll expand that whole material. You can see that there's some self-illumination, there's some bump maps, there's a lot of different procedural maps set up here, and we can even expand those out a little bit more if we wish. If I just take a quick render of this, we can kind of see what this material looks like. So you can see it goes through, there's like just some kind of chunky rock and some self-illuminated lava pieces in here. There's displacement going on with mental ray, and you can see that we have a little bit of a mental ray glow happening here as well. And this is a kind of interesting material setup. So I'm just going to kind of go in and adjust a couple of things. What I might want to do is make some of these different priorities, so I can adjust, the size of 1 or 2 of these, if those are things I want to see all the time. I can also use that Control Shift and make a preview of one, pop that over there. And I'm just going to pop out of the show only input mode here so that I can get access to a couple of these different parameters. And we're going to take a look at one other thing that those previews could be useful for. So if I just adjust this RGB output, you can see that we kind of whiten things like that. And I'll just use Alt to make that a little bit slower on the update so that we can have